Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to the Billy B Show. I am your host, Billy B. Amber is not here with me today. She is still taking care of a few things in her own personal life. Hopefully, she'll be back for too long. We'll be able to get some more radio shows. For now, this is little old me. That's fine, because I do have something I want to talk about today. It's a rather popular subject. This subject today, if you read the description, is what comes after this particular life. That's right. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the paranormal. I know, it's creepy. And I should probably save something like that for Halloween, but, you know, I just figure, what the hell. I got much else to talk about, and I do need to put up a new show this week. So, let's get started. Recently, me and Amber, we were both watching this documentary. You can find it on Netflix, called Afterlife, or the Afterlife Investigations, or something like that. It's based upon a group, I believe in the UK somewhere, and what these people did is for several years, I think it was about 5 years, they performed these things called the skull experiments. These experiments are actually quite popular back in the mid to late 90s. They even wrote a book called The Skull Experiments. You can find this book on Amazon, on Barnes & Noble. You can even go to their website. It's a really intriguing documentary. Really neat. To me, I mean, personally, it's just me, it's some of the best scientific evidence of what comes after this particular life. What comes after when the physical body dies. You know, there's a lot of speculation out there as to, you know, what happens. I mean, you have your other religions. You have Christianity, where they believe you go to either heaven or hell, or you have the Catholic branch of Christianity, which heaven, hell, and purgatory. You know, I'm not going to go too deep into the details about that. You've also got, I guess you could say, Hinduism and Buddhism, kind of based off the same thing. That's actually kind of an interesting story. Buddhism is, I guess you could kind of see it as a branch off of Hinduism. The Buddha, as he is famously called, he was actually a prince. He was a Hindu prince at one point. And according to Buddhist history, there was a prophecy told before his birth that he would have two choices to make. One choice, he would become a king and the country would prosper for so long, yada yada, you know. And, of course, the king at the time was like, okay, you know, my son will be a great king. That's awesome. Good to know. There's another. He wouldn't get the prophecy. Said his other choice would be that he would bring enlightenment to the entire world. That was what she prophesied, or something along those lines. I mean, don't quote me on this stuff. I only briefly studied it, because I actually find Buddhism quite interesting. Actually, it's very, to me, it's very intriguing. Buddhism will definitely stimulate those mental muscles, you know. But, you know, in Hindus, it's just a constant cycle of reincarnation. You die, you come back as something else, and depending on how you behaved in one particular life, depends on how your next life is going to be, and so on and so forth. Whereas Buddhism was about reaching enlightenment so that you could break this endless cycle of reincarnation and you achieve nirvana, pretty interesting. Kind of a neat little concept. And, of course, I mean, you've also got, like, your more ancient religions, you know, like in Norse mythology, you know, if you were a brave warrior, you died on the battlefield, you know, if you were strong and victorious and whatever, then once you died on the battlefield, the Valkyries would come and take you up to Valhalla, which was basically one giant beer fest for all eternity until Ragnarok, which was the destruction of absolutely everything. Kind of a bleak religion when you really think about it. And so you also had Greek mythology, and it's Greek and Roman mythology are the same thing. It's the same gods, just different names. Sound familiar? They believe that if, you know, Hades was actually just the name of the god that ruled the underworld. There's actually like 3 different parts to the underworld. There was Tartarus, which was, you know, the classic vision of fire and brimstone and eternal torture and torment. And then you had the Fields of Elysium, which was basically paradise. It was completely peaceful, yada yada yada. Every religion has their own concept of what comes after, you know. What is after this life? Will you be rewarded for what you did, or will you be punished? You know, a lot of people have a lot of different things. And then, you know, of course, then you have the atheists who believe that you're here, you die, that's it. It's gone, it's over with. And, you know, atheists, they believe in what can be proven with science. Well, got bad news for the atheists. It's just my personal opinion. I'm not trying to knock you if you are an atheist, man. If you're an atheist, that's cool. Do your own thing. But it's quickly being proven by science that there is something else after this life. I mean, you know, you don't have to believe the stupid shit you see on Sci-Fi and the Travel Channel. You don't have to believe that stuff. Honestly, I think quite a bit of that is scripted. And that's just me. Whether there's any proof to this, I don't know. But like I said, it's just me. I think a lot of stuff's bullshit. Then you know, because you got shows like on Sci-Fi, you got Ghost Hunters and Ghost Hunters International. You know, I really, especially as time goes on and I catch episodes every now and again, really, sorry, tired, it's getting late. I really have a hard time believing them as time goes on, because yeah, I don't know. That's just me. I just look at them, and to me, it just feels fake. Then you've got the dudes from the Travel Channel. Actually, there used to be 2 on the Travel Channel. One was this British lady and her buddies, and I swear to God, these were some of the jumpiest people I have ever seen. I sit there and watch the show, and I can't help but think to myself, listen, if you're going to go hunting for this stuff, you're going to hunt for ghosts and hunt for creepy shit, you should really expect creepy shit to happen. So being a super jumpy person probably means that is not the best hobby for you to have. And then, of course, the ever-popular Ghost Adventures crew came around with their groundbreaking documentary. It was a pretty good documentary. I mean, it's super slow. You don't really see anything good. EVPs, which stands for Electronic Voice Phenomena. Sorry. Random thought. Was thinking about the Muppets there for a quick second. Anyways, their original documentary, which was about 80 minutes long, It was really slow. You didn't really see anything. They kept saying they spotted orbs, but to me, I just can't go with orbs. It's way too easy to debunk that stuff as dust or bugs, you know. And so orbs I don't necessarily believe in unless I literally see a giant orb appear in front of me, which hasn't happened yet, so I can't really say I'm all for them. And the EVPs were really kind of weak. I mean, they had some decent stuff, but it didn't start to get really interesting till pretty close to the very end. Where, if you've never seen it, this is a spoiler alert, sorry. You actually see a brick fly across the room. This is a brick, man. Like, I mean a big red brick. This sumbitch flies across the room, and then you see a 2x4. If you're looking carefully, I don't know, like they seem to not really mention that, but you can see it if you're paying attention. You see it lift up in the air and just start spinning, and it was crazy as shit. And of course, they had video analysts, professionals and physics professors. They're all looking at the video. They can't find any evidence that this film was tampered with. They couldn't see any kind of fishing string. It's not CG. They would have spotted that right off the bat. And the physicist was looking at the video, and he was having a really hard time, And of course, opposing scientific theory is everything is surrounded by an electromagnetic field, and you'll see a lot of ghost hunting crews. I said it with quotation marks. They use these things called EMF detectors, and that's electromagnetic frequency detectors, right? These things measure how much electromagnetic power, I guess you could say, is floating around in the air, and everything has an electromagnetic field around it. Everything, down to your atoms. Your atoms are surrounded by electromagnetic fields. I could really get into that. That's quantum physics stuff, but I think I'll save that for another episode. But anyway, if the electromagnetic field in the air, right? Because it's just kind of like a goo, electromagnetic fields. They just kind of fluctuate and mold. They're not always perfectly spherical. If it matches the same frequency as another object, the exact same frequency, and basically it's like pushing two North Pole magnets together. It's really hard. You see them pushing away from each other, It's basically what happens is two things hit the same exact frequency, and so like two same charged magnets, it sends an object flying because it's really hard for two things with the same kind of magnetic charge to touch. Which is quite possible. It has been proven possible. Obviously, you can do it with a simple magnet. It's a really easy test to do. You can do it at home. In fact, if you got those little tech deck dudes, for those who actually remember what the fuck those are, the little skateboarders that were like basically little thumbs that had clothes and shit on them. The shoes have magnets in the bottom of them, and if you try to you have to sit there and play around with it for a bit to find the two magnets that are the same kind of charge. But you'll see they'll start, it's almost like they're, rolling off of something, and that's the electromagnetic field that's being produced off of the magnets. So it's quite possible for shit to just fly across the room, and there is a perfectly good logical scientific explanation for it, and that is electromagnetic field in the air happened to match one of that object and send it flying. Believe it or not, it happens a lot more often than people think it does. It can easily be copied in any lab. Very easily. And then sometimes there's something else doing it. Okay? And that's kind of where these skull experiments guys come in, man. There's a great group of guys, and scientists ran pretty much every kind of test you can think of on this group of people in this documentary to try and debunk them, and they just couldn't do it. They could not find anything. And this was done by a scientific group of people that had over 12 Nobel laureates. In other words, 12 people who were nominated to win Nobel Peace Prizes that worked for this particular society. They're called the so it's something in English. I don't know. You'll have to watch the documentary. I can't remember exactly what they called. I'll probably remember it later when it doesn't matter. But the stuff that they were producing and the things that were happening were amazing. And of course, you can go to their website and they will show you all about it. Like good, for instance, is what they would do is they would take an unused roll of film, a brand new roll of film, and they'd keep it in the box. Wouldn't even open the box. And they'd set it on the table, right in the middle of the table, wouldn't touch the damn thing. And of course, these things, these spirits or entities, they call themselves the Spirit Team. And apparently the Spirit Team was also several scientists who had passed over that were still conducting experiments about the other side. And believe it or not, a very famous scientist does pop up. You all know him. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even be able to talk to you like this. One Mr. Thomas Edison, a genius. I mean, it's thanks to him that we even have any kind of electronics, really. I mean, his work on the light bulb really paved the way for everything that we have today. And so people owe him their thanks. But what people don't know is that Thomas Edison was also quite the paranormal fanatic. He wasn't into the occult, but he did try to scientifically prove. He even invented a machine, but before he could properly test it himself, he died right before he could. And apparently he makes his own little spiritual appearance inside of this documentary. He even gave them the diagrams to his machine and signed it on an unopened roll of film. Basically what they, like I said, they take the unopened box, set it on the table, and they'd sit there and run through their session. And then when it was over, the Spirit Team, once again with quotations, would ask them to develop the film. And when they would develop it, amazing things were on this film. Completely unexplainable. Many scientists have looked at these rolls of film. They were even there when the experiments were being done. They would keep the film right next to them. They would make it so that you couldn't copy it, whatever. I mean, like I said, they ran through the entire battery of tests that you could think of to debunk these guys. And when this roll of film came out with a diagram of a machine on it, with instructions on how to build the skull experiment, guys. Very, very, very interesting. I just noticed that I was off air there for a second, but I was still recording. So if you happen to miss some of the stuff I said, don't freak out. It's okay. It was still recording. Let's see. Network error occurred and the connection with the server has been lost. But, alright, yeah. It's still going. Alright. So, anyways, I watched this stuff and it was mind-boggling. I am a big believer in that, yes, there is something else that comes after, but I'm also a believer in trying to prove it scientifically, which, thanks to the skull experiment guys, believe it or not, they have really helped the field, especially this documentary. The documentary didn't come out until 2012, so last year. It's pretty neat, guys. It's pretty amazing. I fully recommend that you guys look up this documentary. I'm pretty sure it's called The Afterlife Investigations. Really neat stuff. It'll blow your mind. If you don't believe in it, you think I'm a quack. Yeah, quack. If you think I'm a quack, that's your opinion. You're entitled to it. You don't have to believe what I believe. But like I said, this stuff is there scientifically. So, it's really hard to not believe this stuff. Whether you be religious, spiritual, or completely atheist and believing only in what science can prove. Well, sorry, the science is there, and so is the spirituality, guys. This thing has got the proof for absolutely everybody. It is amazing. Just me, though. Just me. I really think you guys should watch it. Anyway, guys, that's going to be it for me tonight. I know, it's another short show. I only did a little bit. I didn't do the full 30 minutes. Just kind of running out of steam and getting a little late. I still got stuff I got to work on. I got coding, music, stories, and all kinds of stupid crap I got to work on. So, anyways, thank you guys so much for listening to the Billy B Show. I'm Billy B, and I'm out.